Content.
Yeah,
What are we talking about?
I'm gonna put my debit card away so you guys nobody can steal my
identity.
No, we are reminiscing because it's the G.I. Joe comic book week. We are reminiscing about mail-in G.I. Joe action figures. Save your proofs of purchase.
The brightest day. Where are the heroes? Soon as they get here, everything will be alright. I need a hero. Someone superhuman who can come and save my life.
And you can get cool action figures.
They did it for
There's a long
Transformers
time.
too.
Yes.
But G.I. Joe, we were just talking about. He was about to say that the Cobra Commander, the hooded Cobra Commander, was a mail away.
That was the one I got. Ones I got.
Sergeant Slaughter was a mail away.
Yep.
Was Refrigerator Perry?
Yes, he was.
Mail away.
In fact, they were like, were they called fridge bucks or fridge points or
Yeah.
something like that?
Yeah.
I remember something like that. Yeah.
There was also like a trooper. He looked like I don't know, he had like a light blue suit.
Yes.
And you couldn't get him anywhere else.
Yep.
I forget what trooper that was. And then what was the other guy? Was it NFL
I don't remember.
Superstar?
I actually said them.
No,
Yeah.
for Refrigerator Perry.
Refrigerator Perry.
Yeah,
But
that's the thing.
that's what we were trying to think of. Like, who else got treatment that wasn't a G.I. Joe? Like Sergeant Slaughter is based on the wrestler, right? And like, who else got that treatment?
Street Fighter.
Yeah, well,
Later on, they
Bison and
did
all
that,
those.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think Roddy Piper got one too later on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
but
sounds
but
right.
in the '80s though, I think it was just Sergeant Slaughter and Refrigerator Perry. There was plans for Rocky. That's what we were talking about.
Right.
If there was an issue of G.I. Joe yearbook that had Rocky, had his file in it
With his boxing gloves.
with his boxing gloves on, because remember there was Big Boa
Yeah, it's Big Boa. Love that character.
and he had the boxing gloves.
Right.
Yeah.
So that would have been a natural.
Yeah, it's probably the character was supposed to be.
Or it was going to be his nemesis in G.I. Joe. Because a lot of times the characters would all have, the heroes would have like a natural sort of enemy on the Cobra side of things.
Yeah.
A lot of times. I mean, obviously Snake Eyes and Storm
Storm
Shadow, but they would always seem to find certain characters to, on one side or the other that would be their enemy,
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, the G.I. Joe seemed to do a lot of the mail-in. There was another one too that I remember doing that. It was like you filled out like your information or like a character that you made the bio of the character, and then they sent it back to you printed out like on a
File card.
Yeah.
I think it was that thing I was talking about, that soldier.
Yeah, I don't remember what that was
G.I.
called.
Joe
though.
Trooper. And you could write out the bio and they would send you the card.
Yes.
And then
it
you
would
get the
have-
figure.
Yeah.
And then that was your character that you had. Yeah, it was like an elite or something. Elite something. I can't remember now
Yeah.
what it. I wish I could remember.
Listen, G.I. Joe was huge.
Yes, it was. It was
Huge.
big. Yeah, I feel like I was telling somebody about this the other day. The last year as a kid that I got toys for Christmas before I was like, I'm too old for this, which was like lasted like a couple of years anyway. But I think
Now we're buying back all the toys.
yeah, now we're buying back all the toys that our parents threw away. But yeah,
Optimus Prime.
the Terradrome
Mm.
that was my big Christmas present that year. The last year that I got like toys and action figures as a kid.
Because that thing, like, there was the flag, which was, a 6-foot table.
Yes.
And then the Terradrome was like, I don't know, it was pretty big.
Yeah. And only you rich kids got that thing.
Right?
Yeah. The shuttle. Remember the space
The
shuttle?
space shuttle. That was dope too.
Huge.
That was huge too.
Yeah.
But that year that the Pterodome came out, they had a lot of good Cobra stuff.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like Crimson Guard.
Crimson Guards.
The
The bats.
Bats. Oh, the Battle Android Troopers.
Those were that's my favorite. I was reminiscing about those recently too. That was such a cool character design.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He just looked cool with the hologram on the chest, and all the parts that would swap out for his. Were you a G.I. Joe guy, Phil?
A little bit, a
Yeah.
little bit of like the G.I. Joe figures and stuff. A lot more like Star Wars figures. In
Yeah.
that time period, I was definitely more Star Wars figures.
Yeah.
Masters of the Universe. I was.
Oh
big
yeah,
on
for me.
He-Man.
I was big on
Yeah.
He-Man. Well, listen, I think if you were a kid in the '80s,
There was certain
we all had
things.
all the same ones: He-Man, Transformers, G.I. Joe, Voltron, Thundercats.
Yup. Those are
Definitely, those were all the big ones for sure. But yeah, I think G.I. Joe. I think G.I. Joe seemed to last the longest for me. I think out of all of them, you know what I mean. As far as like when I started buying them, all the way through to, like when I was like not into playing with
I remember
action
going to the
figures.
stores, and then remember they get fresh like batches.
Oh yes.
There'd be hundreds of them in there. You'd have to look through the back. That maybe your Storm Shadow is like way in the back.
Hey,
or
and
something
cause
like that.
cause I used to work at Toys R Us, so all the figures would be different in like the box, except for like a
Oh.
couple. Like you would get like all different figures and stuff. So like, and it would be like that one rare figure you might get one or two, and like you would put them out on the shelf with everything there, and
Wow. Yeah, like one Snake Eyes.
yeah, like one Snake
I think
Eyes
with
for
Snake
box.
Eyes, it was just he was popular, right?
Yeah.
Like he was the most popular one, even though he was the simplest figure. He's just black.
Yeah. Yeah. He was just.
He's the simplest
solid
figure,
black,
but he's so
right,
cool
yeah.
looking. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they did try to spruce him up a little bit because they added the visor, the gray
He had like
visor.
3 or 4 different outfits.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
of course then they gave him timber and they did all that. You know what I mean?
Well, I liked in the comic books how they developed him with like timber. And
For
all
real.
that. The cartoon just like very loosely. Like
Listen.
the cartoon is nothing like the comic.
No, it's not. The
It's
comic.
a very short-lived like cartoon. If
Yeah.
you like, it's like only like 65 episodes
Yeah.
or something. It's not. It was a very short-lived thing that had like its legacy has lasted a lot longer than like
Yeah.
the cartoon.
Absolutely,
There'd be a
yeah.
lot of one-shot episodes, but then when they had like Arise, Serpentor, and Arise,
Yes,
the 5-parter.
five-parter.
At the beginning of it, like the
that was
first few episodes were just like a series of things. Like
Yeah.
you wanted to like keep watching them because
Yeah. The animation was great too. It was crisp.
Oh yeah, because well, it was all it was all sent
Transformers
overseas.
as well, yeah.
Well, no, that was and those were Marvel cartoons.
Yeah.
That was Marvel
and it's,
Studios cartoons.
good use of like rotoscoping. If anybody knows what that is,
Yeah,
like, all the like
absolutely.
lasers and like stuff. It's excellent like rotoscoping.
Oh
on
yeah,
those
no doubt about it.
cartoons.
If you go back and watch it now, like the animation really stands out. It's just that, like Sam was saying, the stories
They're
are
totally
not.
different.
They're not. A lot of those characters are so different from the comics. And like I was talking to a buddy of mine recently about it, and I feel like because he never read the comics, he only saw the cartoon. So like my perspective of the characters was a little bit different from his to a degree. Not really in a like a debatable or argumentative way, but just you know what I mean. I think
Yeah.
for some people, if you only watch the cartoon, G.I. Joe's a little sillier.
Yeah.
Yep.
For us, if you read the comics or you read both or you preferred the comics,
Or I think
it's a
even
little more
just a little
serious.
bit like growing up with it, like you know, 'cause
Yeah.
you grew up with G.I. Joe.
Larry
to the
Hama
end.
had some of the most, I mean, they're the Cobra people all get together and they're doing it because they want dental insurance.
yeah.
So, like,
Larry Hama
like
wrote
it
all
is
the
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 great
file
stuff.
cards.
Yes.
So-
Larry Hama wrote all the file cards,
Yeah.
everything. So like when Storm Shadow, remember he came out, his second outfit, it showed the tattoo on his arm.
Yes. the
And if you
tattoo.
didn't read the comic book, you were like, why
Why?
does he have that tattoo?
And what is
And-
it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and dude, not for nothing, but that silent interlude issue,
Oh yeah. It's classic.
that's a classic comic of all time.
Yeah.
Not even just because it's a G.I. Joe or 80's comic.
It uses the conventions of a comic book.
Yeah.
It's like you
Yes.
could tell the whole story with pictures. You don't need words.
And listen,
So,
as bad as the movie might have been, the silent scene from G.I. Joe Retaliation, the
yes,
second
yeah,
movie,
yeah, yeah.
phenomenal.
Oh really?
Phenomenal.
I
you
never
didn't
watched
see
it.
it?
I didn't watch the second
Oh,
one.
it's
I stopped with the
they're
first
doing
one.
a
It's Ray
recreation
Park.
of the silent.
It's Ray Park
episode.
running along a mountain fighting ninjas.
Yeah.
So wait, you talking about the movie that The Rock was in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I never watched
So
it.
is
All right, well, I'm
um,
gonna have to change that.
so is Die Hard.
Bruce Willis
Bruce
is
Willis
in
is
it too.
in it, yeah.
It's basically Storm Shadow. Snake Eyes is going after Storm Shadow, and then they end up in the hallway, and it's all silent. Like
I never knew any of that. Okay, mind
Yeah.
blown. But I'm gonna have to take the time to watch it just for that at least.
Do they even scream when they die? The ninjas. Remember,
That's
he's running
wild.
alongside the
that
mountain.
scene is so great when they're running
Right.
across the mountain. Like they're literally running across the mountain, like fighting ninjas and stuff.
Now, see, okay, so here's a follow up for you. How was the Snake Eyes movie? Because I've heard different things.
Horrible.
From, horrible movie too,
Horrible.
Yeah.
I'm the biggest Snake Eyes fan.
and it was a horrible movie.
Horrible.
I
It's
felt
not-
like didn't Larry?
I
didn't watch it
wait,
either.
whoa, whoa. Didn't Larry Hama himself though sign
Yeah.
off on it?
Which got me tight because it's like no, because I got happy that he said, "Yo, I approve of this movie."
Yeah, and then
I
you
thought,
went
this is
saw
gonna
it.
be great.
He approved of the movie after they like, here's the check for approving the movie.
Although honestly,
Yeah.
I don't
Listen,
think
everybody's got to
I don't
get paid. It's
think-
okay.
Yeah, but also,
no
I don't
hate.
think- I don't think they pay them very much. Like I don't think
No.
it would sway, especially somebody like Larry. I don't think it would sway his opinion. To be honest, I don't think it would be enough money to make him say, "Oh
Probably
yeah, this,
not.
no."
No, listen. I think
But
I
he-
think for a creator like that, you get to a certain point in your life where you're just happy to have the recognition. You know what I mean? And you're happy to see like somebody make an attempt at it. I mean, it is what it is. I don't know. I haven't watched it, so I can't
Well, they
comment on
changed
it.
the whole thing. Like Snake Eyes can't talk.
Right.
They skip over any him losing his voice.
But isn't it? It's
anything.
a prequel though, isn't it?
It's
Or-
a prequel, but it's not.
It's not.
It's nothing like his real
Yeah, it's too
origin.
bad.
So he's basically a bad guy.
Yeah, and the only time he wears the Snake Eyes outfit is at the end of the movie.
Of course.
He finally puts it on. Does it look good?
I hate.
Storm Shadow's great.
Yeah.
Storm Shadow was phenomenal in that movie.
Yeah.
But Snake Eyes,
No
And
good.
what about the Baron? The Baroness is in it, right?
yes, the Baroness is in it.
Who plays the Baron?
Well, of course.
I forget who it was, but they did a great job too. Scarlet is in it.
Okay. So, yeah.
But it's just basically Snake Eyes. They made him like a bad guy,
yeah, that's too bad.
and I was like, what's going on?
I mean,
here?
and the thing that kills me is like it's not rocket science, dude. The formula is there.
It's right there.
Yeah, you don't have to change it. Like
His
it's
story is phenomenal.
yeah, there's no need to shake it up.
Like he
And you
goes to
can even
Vietnam.
stab a shark.
He goes to Vietnam with Storm Shadow, right?
Yeah.
He returns from Vietnam with Storm Shadow to find out that his sister and family get killed in a car accident. So Storm Shadow is like, listen, I'm gonna take you into my family, and takes him over and trains him.
Right.
Just so
how to
happens
be-
that we're a family
Yeah.
of ninjas.
And he becomes so good that
It's the
Storm
80s,
Shadow,
dude.
Storm Shadow becomes jealous.
Right.
So then Zartan creeps in and he kills the Hard Master, but frames Snake Eyes.
Snake Eyes.
So,
yes.
Storm Shadow.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Storm Shadow
It's
takes
been
the
a
Snake
long
Eyes. So they
time.
battle for a while.
Can we just go back to the action figures? Zartan, one of the best action figures
Oh,
ever.
yeah, Zartan's
For real.
phenomenal.
Right. So much. What do they call it? Play. There's so much play in that toy. I mean, he's got a mask that goes on. His
glows.
skin
With the
changes
chest
color
hair,
in the
yeah,
sun.
yeah.
He has an actual swamp. What do they call it? The swamp
It's a
cycle.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
sweet.
basically
Whatever
a
it is,
cycle.
it was
so
dope.
cool, right? And
Yeah.
like, so obviously he can go across the swamp and stuff on this thing, but then it turns into a pile of junk. So
Yeah.
he can look like he's carrying it around in
In the comic
disguise.
book, they made his story even deeper. Like
Yeah.
he's infiltrating that clan because Cobra Commander wants to kill Snake Eyes and all that. So he infiltrates it, and he becomes like a ninja master. He gets trained by the guy who makes the swords and all
Wow.
that. That's how he's able to infiltrate, and he mimics
Yeah.
certain things to make people think that Snake Eyes killed
Yeah.
the master.
Wow.
And then it goes way beyond that too. But that's just like beginning of
See, that's
origin.
and that's what I was getting back to is that G.I. Joe mythology is really rich.
It is.
And if you didn't read those comics, you don't always know that. Like, you know what I mean? You're not. If it's just the cartoon is your only.
Yeah, cartoon.
And again, not hating on the cartoon because it was a big part of my childhood too. But it doesn't.
It'd be
It
like
doesn't
knowing
stack up.
Batman through like the Adam West TV show.
If that was all you knew, right? That's a good. That's
it's like
actually.
you know Batman through Adam West's TV show.
That's a great
right?
comparison, actually. Yes, it's all.
But, like you know the characters and stuff, and then you read like something like Dark Knight Returns, and you're like, "What is this?"
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for real. No, definitely some classic stuff in there, man. I'm really glad that G.I. Joe is back. I like this bringing this new series.
And Larry Hammon's still writing it.
And Larry Hammond's still there, man. No, it's really cool. And I think it's in good hands with Skybound.
So
we'll
far,
see
I
what
mean,
that
Transformers
does.
has been
I think
good.
they've been trying to they tried like several times to like mash G.I. Joe and Transformers and Thundercats and just like so all of this to just mash it
IDW
together.
tried it for a little bit, but it
Yes.
wasn't part of the Larry Hama.
Okay.
continuity.
Yeah, it's got to be a little more. Well, see, I think what's
So-
going to work here is it's a little more organic.
And I wonder, is it like that was the Larry Hama stuff even going to get incorporated? Is he just going to do his
no,
own
this is
thing?
separate.
to let him,
Yeah.
and that's
That
smart
makes
too.
sense.
That's really smart too, is to let him keep doing his thing.
Because they kept failing when they tried to reboot it.
Yeah,
Like Devil's Due,
yeah,
failure. When IDW did their own universe,
failure too.
that didn't work out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
God bless Larry Hama. Let him. I hope that dude lives to 200 years old because
Yeah.
let him keep just cranking it out because that's
get
what
to
we want.
issue 500. Baby.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's go. Issue 500. Exactly. No, let's do it for real. No, it's all good stuff, man.
Black is the brightest day. Where are the heroes?